What's up? How y'all doing? It's Lugamonger. This one, it's a Cutco Kabar. If you saw my last video, I did the Cutco Kabar Explorer, right, which is just the Cutco Next Generation Fighting Knife produced by Cutco Industries itself. This is not actually marketed through Kabar. This is only marketed through the Cutco Industry. So the only way to actually get this knife is to either order it offline through Cutco or buy it through one of their distributors, door-to-door salesmen. The knife itself is an interesting design. The Cutco company is they mainly manufacture, they specialize in kitchen knives. They have recently been coming out with some outdoor products, which this one is here. I've got a few other examples that I'll probably show you. But this knife in this especially shows to me that it was probably a designer that has designed kitchen knives, manufacturing or designing an outdoor use blade. Outdoor/tactical use blade, and they did a very good job. I'm actually very, very impressed with this knife. Let me grab my little pad here, give you the specs. It's got a blade length of 5.5 inches. The blade thickness is 1.6 inches. It's a 440A stainless steel. The overall is 10.5 inches. The handle length is 5 inches. The handle thickness at its widest point is 0.9 inches. And it weighs 9.52 ounces. It's a GFN, glass reinforced nylon handle material here. And again, the MSRP on this blade is $199. Now, that may shock you. You may, what? No. 440A steel. It's got a GFN handle. This is not a $200 knife. And you're correct. The reason for that is because of the actual door-to-door sales. The marketing, what they do, they'll come to your door and say, oh, we'll give you a 10% discount right off the bat. We give everybody a 10% discount. Then they talk to you for an hour and they give you a 20% discount. If you bite, you bite. You know what I mean? If you don't, they'll give you a little bit more of a discount. And they can go up to such an amazing degree, like, 60, 70% discount, that who's not going to pay that? You're already at that point. You know what I mean? It's just another sales tactic. It's the reason that the pricing is so high on the MSRP on these knives. So I honestly can't tell you what the street value of this knife is. But the steel itself, they advertise on the Cutco website that it's like a triple temper cryo process or whatever, they say. And honestly, I believe it. That it's probably worded a little bit crazy. If I don't actually know the process that they do, but whatever it is fantastic, because I've beat the crap out of this knife. I really have. Let me see if I can get it to focus in here. You can see the coating on the blade. I can't actually remember what they call the coating, but it is chipping off, so it's wearing in certain areas and then it's chipping in others, so it's not the best coating. You can see, especially up here on the tip, this was actually me. It didn't come with the most... It just wasn't a very sharp tip. It wasn't sufficient. So I did touch up the tip a little bit, and I actually knocked that off. I chipped that off in the process, so that was the same thing. As well as the pommel here, you can see that it's just got a really big chip out of the pommel there. I don't actually know what I did to cause this. The lanyard hole, you can see, is fantastic. I love that oblong-shaped lanyard hole. It makes it easier to stick multiple lines through if you want to do a really heavy cord, or you want to do 3 or 4 pieces of paracord through there. You're not just limited to one piece of cord, which I am a really big fan of. The handle itself is too small. It is too small for my hands. However, if you had a smaller grip, it actually probably feels fantastic. It is smooth chopping, which... This knife just seems, the balance point, it's not a very, the balance point is about right here, right? So it's not a dedicated chopper, but in the hand, just due to the profile of it, it just seems like it, and it honestly does. It chops really well. I was taking out little, a piece of a dead stump, I went all like crazy on a piece of a dead stump for a long time, and I was taking pretty good chunks out of it. And it does hack really, really well, especially since that forward blade design, the blade being in front of your hand, you can see that in front of your actual grip, it leads to a really good hit because you're not anticipating the actual hit, so you give more pressure. It's the same reason a shillelagh is bent forward, so it works really well with that. However, the hollow grind does concern me a bit for hard outdoor use, just because it does have a pretty deep hollow grind there. I mean, you can see it narrows out very, very thin right there behind the tip, which gives it an excellent cutting profile. The cutting geometry on this blade is fantastic. But it especially the belly, it's a great design blade for cutting, especially for things like kitchen use, field prep, outdoor, maybe hunting. I don't know too much about hunting, but it does concern me on the strength and the durability of that steel, especially seeing that it is a 440A. The edge retention is fantastic, but I don't know as much of chipping, wearing, things like that. I have a feeling that they've probably just hardened this to the point where it's advertised at a 58 on the Rockwell scale, which is kind of high for a 440A. So I have a feeling that this blade is going to be a little bit more fragile than anything else. So I wouldn't put it through heavy stress. But with that, I mean, it's a full tang design, big chunk of steel. So trail use, light trail use, camp use, this is probably a fantastic knife. It's not something you're going to be wanting to split wood with, but just general use, stripping down. My buddy actually carved a pretty badass spatula. I have multiple of these. Let me show you the rest of these K-bars. I received these as a gift. And my buddy who gave them to me actually gave one of these as well to another buddy of mine, and he carved a badass spatula with it. Gave me the knife to sharpen, and I mean, honestly, I just needed to touch it up. I believe I don't want to be quoted, but I think it was cherry wood. Not quite sure, but I mean. All I did was touch it up, and he beat the crap out of it. You can tell, like, it took him a lot. There was a lot of work that went into it. This knife here is what they call this is the drop point hunter. This is the serrated drop point hunter. It's not serrated, excuse me. This is a double D edge. That's different than serrations. It's better somehow. They are fantastic serrations. In all seriousness, it is a good serration pattern. I mean, it works very well. I like the way that it's done. It's not going to be easy to sharpen. I mean, you're probably going to have to send it back to the factory for any actual, razor touch-up sharpening, unless you want to just grind it back from the other side here, because it is on that chisel grind. But I don't know what this knife is for. Who the hell does... What is this for? What do you do with it? You can't use this as a skinning knife. I mean, maybe initial penetration on an animal, getting through really tough hide, this could be useful. But then any sort of skinning, you're going to have to switch your knife up. So that just kind of seems pointless to me. You can't carve wood with it. I don't know what this is for. This is the Cutco Kabar Explorer. It is a mock-up of the the Kabar Next Generation fighting knife, except this has the 440A steel blade. You can see I've sharpened the swedge here. I've actually got a review out on this knife as well, if you want to take a look at that. Rid of these. Get into this sheath. The sheath is a very, very crappy material. It's just really very cheap plastic. It's not seamed very well. The seal on the actual plastic, if I can, I don't know if it'll come in here. I don't like the patterning that they've put on it. It's just very, very cheesy to me. However, it is made in USA. Only in New York. That is pretty badass. And as well, it works fantastically. No rattle. Little tiny bit of rattle. No rattle that way. It holds very, very well. The retention is fantastic. It's actually got kind of a jump because the way that they've designed it on those lips, so when you get past a certain point, it actually pushes the knife out. Let me see. You see that? It jumps out right there, which is it's just kind of a neat feeling when deploying the blade. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of this sheath. The design of this sheath is fantastic. Whoever did that. What I've done, it came with a strap that looped through these panels here and then wrapped around and had a kind of a flappy paddle. I'm just not the biggest fan of that, so I've just taken a molly strap. This is just a button hook molly strap, wrapped some paracord around it, strapped it up like that. It works really well. I'm a big fan of this knife, even though, I mean, it's not my particular style. I don't think it's something that I would have ever purchased, but I mean, I can't give any complaints about it.